Hi, I'm Shona Hutchings and welcome back to my channel, Creative Zone. In today's video, we're going to have some fun on the gel plate and make some prints, and let's see where that takes us. So, let's get on with the video and I'll see you on the other side. So today, we're going to be using Grandma's crystal bowls. And I've got this larger one here. And they just have these beautiful patterns. And so here's a list of art supplies that you'll need: a gel plate, some paper of your choice, some golden acrylic paints, some fluid acrylics. And then there's the really fun part. So I'm going to get some paint and my brayer and we'll begin. I'm going to put a little bit of the blue down and some of the Titan Buff just to lighten it a little bit. Using my brayer, just going to spread that evenly across the gel plate and then take a pull on the, I'm using just some sketch paper, white sketch paper. So I'm just getting a base there to put another print down on. So to this plate I've added some pyrrole orange, the iridescent gold and the quinacridone magenta, and having lots of fun pushing the crystal bowls down into the paint. It's quite a lot of paint on the gel plate so that I get good images. And then I'm using the same piece of paper, the blue paper, just patting it very lightly so I don't squeeze any of those patterns away. And very happy with that pull. There's quite a lot of the blue showing underneath. So I'm just finishing off what was on the brayer and adding a little bit of Titan Buff to lighten this. And again, pushing down quite firmly with the crystal bowls. Beautiful patterns. Now I'm using the Payne's Grey and a turquoise, phthalo turquoise on the gel plate. I've cleaned my gel plate and you can watch the video all about that on my channel. Again, just getting a nice even layer with the brayer. Pushing down, so I'm getting double prints here, pushing down on the gel plate, and then I'm printing onto a separate piece of paper off to the side. This is a really efficient way of doing it, getting double prints. Loving those dark turquoise colours. This is the Titan Buff and the iridescent gold. There is still a little bit of the turquoise left on the plate, and so I'm happy to leave that and see how that comes through on the next sheet of paper. So I'm using copy paper here. Just very lightly going over it with my hands, letting it dry a little bit. And as you can see, that's come out beautifully. So now I'm going to put some of the pyrrole orange, some of the quinacridone magenta, and some of the iridescent gold. Pushing the plate, the bowls down into it. And I let that dry a little bit and put the turquoise over the top. And then I used the end of a plastic nib to just scribble some writing into the plate, just gently so you don't damage the plate. And again, I'm using copy paper here. So these are the prints just from the remainder of the paint that was left on the crystal bowls. And these, while I'm waiting for that pool to dry, I'm just showing you some of the prints and how they turned out. Really happy with all of them. And now to see how this one's come out. Oh, loving the layers in that one. So I'm just going to leave those all to dry properly and then come back to them. So I've pulled out my little journal. This is one of my little travel journals. And yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a brand new double page. And then I'm going to use the Matisse gel medium to put upon the double page spread. I'm going to be using a small brush. This is a little bit dry. It's not going on terribly well, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water, mix that around a little bit and see how that goes. I'm just going to start putting stuff down. And I am going to be using the gel medium over the top as well. Not being too precious about any of it. So what else do I want? Oh, some of the dark, these dark turquoise colours. Loving these blues and aquamarine colours. I'm going to put a little bit more of that on, some up here. And we don't need long. This is really, I'm already feeling so excited about this. I'll bring in some of this light, but it's got a little bit of the, turquoise in it as well. And that is going to just blend in really, really beautifully. And this can be all that you get done for the 15 minutes or so that you have before you have to go off and do the things that you need to do. But seriously, it is so worth it just to get those creative juices flowing, and then they flow out into the rest of the day. Might put 2 pieces of that in. Yes, love it. Beautiful. And I'm not forgetting the other page. I am going to be putting some on there as well. Just going to tear up this beauty here, which also has some of the blues in it. Love, 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 love. And so I'm going to leave that to dry, go off and process through my other commitments so that I can already see some images emerging. We might want to put some paint on it as well, who knows. So I'm just going to leave that to dry and come back to it. And now coming back to it with fresh eyes and sort of looking at it and seeing certain shapes and just turning it around, just getting an impression here and there. And I decided to use the white Posca paint pen to do a little bit of embellishing, not anything too thoughtful, just random mark making, to add another layer and bring in a little more depth and interest to the whole piece. It is looking quite busy, however that will just start to quieten down once I start looking for images and just using the paints to come in with for the final couple of layers. Just doing some triangles. Decided to make some a little bigger than others, just a bit of size variation. And just outlining some of the patterns that were already there on the papers, on the printed papers, and adding some additional dots and different sized circles. And so you can add to yours whatever marks you enjoy making. And here I decided to use some more of the ultramarine blue and the Titan buff. Just feel like I need to bring the page together a little bit more cohesiveness. I'm using this brush. It's got like a compartment to put water in, and you just squeeze it in the middle of the pen, and it drops a little drop of water down onto the palette. It's meant to be for watercolours, but I find it actually quite useful in using it in this way with acrylics as well. It came with a watercolour set from, I think the brand is called Meaden. I will check that and leave it in the notes below though. So I'm just adding some of the blue, a little dark around the edges, and then some lighter blues throughout the 2 pages. And it's just unifying the 2 pages a little more and giving some balance in the colours. And then I was turning the book around, the journal, turning it different ways and having a look, and I noticed that there's quite a lot of that lovely orangey red colour at the top and not so much at the bottom. So I'm bringing that pyrrole orange back out again, and had a little bit of fun just randomly putting some bright orange down. I put it on both the pages. And still I don't have any idea really where this is going. I can see what I thought were some images, but as I'm adding more colours, they've sort of disappeared, and I'm just drying it off with a hairdryer now, just so I can get a clearer picture of what it looks like. I'm coming back in with the black pen and just doing some writing across both pages. And just a squiggly writing, nothing that's comprehensible, just enjoying making marks again. And I also bring the white ink pen, or the Posca pen, back, and I'm just balancing out the contrasting colours. I love when you get to the end of a page and you have some of this coming through in the layers, and some of it will get covered over. So as I'm looking at it, I am starting to see what looks to me to be a bird. I can just see a black beak and a creamy coloured body. And so I'm just going to darken around the outside of that with a little bit of the ultramarine blue, just to bring that forward a little bit so that it shows up more on the page. And as I was doing that, I saw another bird just above it, and so I've also gone around that with the Titan buff to bring that out. So I'm working on both the birds here, just pushing the background a little bit and bringing the birds out, the figures of the birds out a little more clearly. And I'm using the white Posca pen to do very, very loose squiggly marks on either side of both pages, creating tree branches and not really taking much care with it, just roughly scratching them in. It's really such a lovely, freeing feeling when things just kick in and start to flow. So once I found those two birds, I looked over onto the other page and saw what looked like a boat or a canoe just at the bottom there. So I'm just outlining that and bringing the blue a little more around it to represent some water, the flow of water. And initially I took that quite a way up the page, up the centre fold. Then I found a third bird beneath the first two. So this little orange bird, I'm using the black pen really loosely again, just lots of scritches and scratches and squiggles, just roughly outlining some feathers. I really like this loose way of playing and leaving all these really interesting marks. So on the other page I found a tiny bird up in the tree, so I'm just again outlining that, adding some feathers and an eye and just giving it a branch to sit on. So I decided to use the turquoise to darken the tree branches so that they're more in silhouette, so to speak, and leaving the rest of the page in the lighter colours. These paints work beautifully because they're translucent, so it highlights the tree, but you can also see the marks that are left underneath. And for me, I really like that. It gives so much more interest to the piece. Here I'm adding some of the Titan Buff and some of the quinacridone magenta, mixing the two again very loosely, just blending. I'm blending with that water brush. And there are things that I let go of that I really liked on the page, and just covered them, made decisions and covered those over. So I'm coming in with the pyrrole orange and just blending that through both pages. So some of the papers that are underneath already had those colours on them, and I'm just adding a little bit more of those colours into the surrounds just so the birds pop and the trees pop a little bit more. Lightening it a little bit with the Titan buff. I decided I really liked some of the marks that were underneath on this page, but I decided it was too busy and the elements that I really wanted to shine in this journal page weren't, so I decided to just cover them over with, you can still see them, they still come through, but I'll use the pyrrole orange again to give a glaze. And this is a very effective technique for giving a richness and a depth to the piece. And I decided to bring that blue back, the blue that I'd taken up the centre of the page. So I decided to bring that back quite a bit and lighten the whole centre of the page a bit more. And that's the beauty of acrylics, is you can just go over and over the layers until you end up with what you really wanting, what you really like, what appeals to your heart. I decided to do the Titan buff on the little canoe. The white was just a little bit too bright, and I felt like the Titan buff, the nice creamy colour of that, was more in tune with the rest of the work. Now I'm just adding final details, so just coming in with the Posca pen again, just outlining, rubbing things out, adding a few more feathers, little white spots on the eye. And for the little orange bird, I felt it needed another branch for it to be actually sitting on. Just looked like it was kind of sitting there in mid-air. So I just put a little branch in and just drew a little white foot underneath. Touches of blue coming in with that white bird. And I just felt like it was all coming together. It just flowed so beautifully. And the little canoe was, it felt like the canoe was kind of just flowing down the stream. So I added a little bit of white. Oh, and I found this fifth bird just flying up in the sky. It was a darkened area that had very wing-like appearance. Here's a couple of birds that are out in my garden. It's nice to take a break outside in the middle of working. And so, yeah, back to the centerpiece again, just adding some white highlights to the trees, just some little curves. And at this point I felt like it was nearly finished, and there was that sort of clear area just to the left underneath the little bird, and I sort of felt like there was some words that were going to come to me as I finished the piece. And they did. So trust in the flow was what came through, with the boat floating down the stream, and the way this had all just come together so well. Trust in the flow. So if you like this video, please like, comment, share it with a friend. Click that subscribe button. It helps my channel to grow, and I do appreciate your support very much. So thank you for coming on the crystal bowl journey with me. And I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. Here's the finished double spread, and I don't think I mentioned it a great deal, but the push water pen, which you can see has a little bit of water left in here, is by Meeden, Meeden, but I will put that in the notes below. And no, this isn't a paid promoted video. And then Posca pen, I just used the white with the fine nib on it. And this is the Uni pen fine line, the black. So yeah, a little bit of crystal bowl and gel plate play revealed a beautiful affirmation in the end. Trust in your flow. So looking forward to your comments. Leave some below. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Ciao for now.